Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we'll be looking at my recent trip to the Milford Track in New Zealand. You start your trip in Queenstown before finding your way down to Tianu, where you have to take a ferry across into Fiordland National Park where your multi-day hike begins. The first day is pretty cruisy. You're getting off the boat and it's about a 5 kilometre hike from the trailhead to Clinton Hut, which will be your first destination and spot to stay the night. Now this is in 2025 in December. We actually had pretty decent weather. As you can tell, it is raining a little bit, but overall not as bad as some of the other groups. We were one of the first groups on the trail because the groups before us unfortunately had their trips cancelled due to excessive rainfall, flooding, and avalanche or landslide risks. But with all this rain, we still made it to campsite safely and in one piece, and got a chance to warm up by the fire. Clinton Hut has some incredible surroundings with mountains all around the campsite, but we knew that the next day going to Mintaro Hut, which is a roughly 17.5 kilometre journey, was going to be a little bit more challenging just because of the distance. As you can tell here, we start through the forest pretty similar to the first day's hiking, but after a while it does sort of open up a little bit and you can see that you're in the valley with mountains on either side. You follow along the Clinton River and it eventually brings you to the base of the McKinnon Pass, and that's where the Mintaro Hut is placed. We were quite fortunate today. Whilst there was a bit of cloud cover, there was no rain and there were pockets of sunshine coming through, so we were still able to get incredible views of the surrounding mountains while still getting to see the waterfalls trickling down the mountains everywhere that we went. We found a few ponds or lakes where the water had trickled into, and we actually decided to have lunch at one of these spots where it was just beautiful, the sun was shining, and we got to enjoy a bit of a swim in the freezing cold water. After lunch, we made our way further down the valley, and you can actually see here the McKinnon Pass right at the end, which is where we'll be climbing tomorrow. So as I mentioned earlier, we were one of the first groups on the trail because a few of the bookings before us were cancelled due to excessive flooding and landslides. We're about to pass through an area that was affected by a landslide, and you can tell that it's just destroyed the area. So they've put some bridges that have been dropped in by helicopters, and we just had to be extra careful when going through this area, listening out for anything if another landslide might occur. But we made our way through and got to the other side of these areas and continued up the valley towards Mintaro Hut and McKinnon Pass. Towards the end of the day, you start to climb a little bit more. The trail starts to go through a forest before reaching your destination at Mintaro Hut and completing that 17.5 kilometre journey. You get met with incredible views of McKinnon Pass, and you can sort of see the trail of where you'll be going tomorrow morning to get to the top of this pass. Day 3 from Mintaro Hut to Dumpling Hut is about a 14 kilometre journey, but you do have a lot of switchbacks to get to the top of McKinnon Pass. We were really fortunate with the weather clearing up when we got closer to the top and actually providing some sunshine, which made the views exceptionally beautiful and rewarding. Standing at about 1,154 metres, the McKinnon Pass gives you panoramic views of either side of the valley. This one being here, the valley we've just hiked up of, and then being able to see the opposite side of where we will be going. Again, we were so lucky and fortunate to have incredible sunshine and views the entire time we were up at the pass. But because you're having a bit of a break and a rest, you do get really cold, even in the sunshine. The breeze up here in the middle of summer, really freezing. So we rugged ourselves back up and began the descent down the McKinnon Pass on the opposite side. Oh. I think maturing is realizing that uphill was never the enemy. It's definitely the downhill. It's quite a steep descent once you get off the pass, going back down into the valley on the other side, and it really tests your knees and their stability. But if you take it slowly and enjoy the views, you'll have an amazing time. Once you get to the bottom, you can actually do a bit of a side trip, which goes down to see Mackay Falls, which is an incredibly large waterfall before finishing your day. Day 4 is from Dumpling Hut to Sandfly Point, which is where we'll be picked up at the end. It's about an 18-kilometer hike, and it's pretty similar to the first 2 days, going through a valley, going out of Fiordland National Park. But the views are still stunning. We had clear skies with sunshine coming through, lots of waterfalls, and time to rest and enjoy the beautiful scenery. The boat will pick you up from Sandfly Point and drop you off at Milford Sound, where we caught our bus back to Queenstown to finish our trip. The Milford Track is incredible. I would recommend it for anyone who likes hiking. The 55-kilometre trip through the Fiordland National Park is a must-do in the South Island of New Zealand. So please, comment if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching.